direction of the country, right track, wrong track, 66% say wrong track. You've got a situation, right, where we know President Biden is vulnerable, especially because 40% of Democrats aren't saying they want him in the primary. You've got him at 60, you've got RFK at 14, Marianne Williamson at 5, and 20% who aren't voting for anybody else. How big a stakes do you view the town hall tonight as for President Biden? He's making a speech at noon. Not even in the afternoon, not even when everybody, and he's ceding prime time to Robert F. Kennedy to introduce himself to the country.
I hope a lot of people watch this show tonight, watch the town hall on NewsNation, not just because I work here, but because I want them to see what I know of RFK Jr., that he is a nutty guy. When Biden makes a gaffe, he's been making gaffes his entire career, and you could blame some of it on his age. RFK Jr. Has a problem with Wi-Fi. RFK Jr. has said things like frogs change their sexes because there's fluoride in the water supply. He's a nutty guy with nutty ideas, and I hope that comes out tonight.
Okay, you know what? But Donald Trump was a guy who said crazy things during the 2015 and 2016 race. It's not that people didn't know about him. It's that the things that he said. Joe Biden says some pretty crazy things. He said Vladimir Putin is losing in Iraq. The question is why do the voters like somebody despite those things, not because they don't know about those things? And I'm wondering if Democrats aren't making a pretty big, there's a lot of Democrats just dismissing RFK Jr. Telling voters they're stupid and they don't get it is not a winning strategy. You think about people are saying. Go ahead.
No, he's getting 14% because his name is Robert Kennedy Jr. They don't know much about him, and hopefully tonight they will learn about him. And I think that 14% becomes less than 10% when people actually know what he stands for. And I'm sure if we did a poll and we pushed and we put his actual words in the poll, they would like it.
We got to be fair about this. Okay? Robert Kennedy stands for a whole lot of things. He stands for an entirely different view of what to do about Russia that a large part of the American populace looks towards, that is not happy with Ukraine, both on the left and the right. Okay, has a very different view of immigration. He's willing to go against the Democratic ethos on a number of issues. This stuff has nothing to do with vaccines. And again,
then he should run. He should run as a Republican because he's running in the Democratic primary.
He's trying to run. He's trying to run on these issues. Democrats just don't seem to want to have the conversation, and that's what I'm wondering about. What the fear of him is.
No, there's no look. I have no fear of RFK Jr. I don't think RFK Jr. is a legitimate, serious candidate, and I do not believe he will register at all in any primaries this year. Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee unless he does not want to be the Democratic nominee, which is possible too at some point. But right now, he's going to be the nominee. And as for the right track, wrong track number, that's a real concern for the president. He should be concerned about it. I think a lot of Democrats are in that wrong track, too, because of some of the stuff that's going on in this country with choice. And I think it's a big part of that number. But the Republicans seem unwilling or unable to capitalize on it.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. I'm wondering about the primaries and caucuses, Iowa, New Hampshire, if Joe Biden decides not to go on the ballot. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Chris, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
We shall see.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.